Hi, hello, and welcome to yet another expat. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. The one good thing we have going on is that the day is now longer. The hour changed at the end of March, which means we're all enjoying one more hour of sun. And I do think this makes a huge difference. Now, I'm speaking to you having enjoyed one good coffee. What I mean by that is I make shit coffee. I don't care about coffee. I just need coffee in my system. So I usually have a Jacob's Gold that I put some boiling water and then I put some foam milk and that's it. But my girlfriend has higher standards than me and she has invested in buying a good espresso machine. And this has been a big chapter of her life that I haven't been involved into because I'm already involved in too many things and I don't care so much. I have low standards and that's okay. But now she knows how to make a really good espresso and she went to a class to learn how to be a barista. And today she made me a good coffee. So let's see the difference it makes recording this episode. I'm a Jacob's Gold person. The only thing I regret about my shitty coffee is that it's made by Nestlé. And I mean, I would never get monetized by Nestlé, so it's fine to say that they are pretty bad. If you look up all the environmental and humanitarian disasters they have done, whether it is the scandal with the baby formulas in Africa that has led to the death of a million of children throughout some decades, all the way to getting all the water to make their drinks from communities that are experiencing drought and don't have any water for themselves, to other things. Okay, now that I say it, maybe I can find some instant espresso coffee that is from a different brand. If you know any, let me know in the comments. But other things that have played their role in me having a nice morning is that I listened to Placebo this morning. Placebo, the band, I was listening to them when I was a teenager, 15 and 16 years old, and they are doing a tour. I don't know what they have been up to since they released the Meds album and that big trend and success time of the 2006, 7, 8. I have not really stayed up to date, but they're doing a tour and they have a Berlin concert in November 26. And I decided to go for old good times' sake. And today I put some Placebo to play. And I have to, this reminded me how strongly music connects to memories and times in our lives. I have not listened to Placebo for almost half of my life now. And by listening to the album and the songs, I could immediately get some faint sense of being 16 again. I heard the song and I would get flashbacks of me doing, I don't know, rollerblading or being in my room or being in a bar/club in Athens listening to this music or getting drunk and wasted and living my youth rebellion times. And this is the thing with music. It does such a strong hook in your brain and in your memory. And I wanted to share this with you as an invitation to choose one of the albums you might have been listening when you were younger and give it another listen and see what it does. Because it can be surprising what it does, how nice it feels. And I think right now with the way that apps are dominating our life and our Spotifys and the YouTubes, you don't get to listen to an entire album. What is the last time you said, okay, I'm going to listen to this artist, I'm going to listen to this album from start to finish? That's gone, right? That's something almost from a different era. But anyway, this is my invitation to you. Pick something, an artist that you haven't listened since a very long time, and put it on and just, let it do its thing. See what it does to you, and I think you will not regret it. And with this, I will also share this last tip I remember reading. It makes so much sense. I've done it very few times. Sometimes it has happened by accident, which is anytime you go on a trip, anytime you go on a travel, anytime you go into this I don't know, maybe it's a 3-day seminar of how to be a barista. Whatever it is, if you have a life occurrence, if you choose a new type of music, if you decide I'm going to listen to this new album while I go on this journey or this new artist, you are making a super strong connection between the music and your memories. You will help yourself experience it in a different way. And you will also enable your future self to be able to come back to these moments, come back to this journey. And it just makes your brain be able to recall more information and make stronger relational bonds. And I think the way we are destroying our poor brains and our attention spans, scrolling every day, thousands of information in and out, this is one of the muscles we need to train and strengthen. So this is my second invitation to you. Choose a new album, something you've never heard before, and combine it with a trip or a phase in your life or something specific that has a beginning and an end, and you want to make sure you keep a lot of these memories because it's gonna work. Now, a lot of things are happening in the world. A quick snapshot of Greece. It's mostly producing sad news, especially if you're abroad. The sad news can make it a bit more tolerable why the decision to stay somewhere else is made. But yeah, right now Greece is being dragged by EU courts for a number of corruption cases, whether it is the mismanagement of the farming grants that have cost $500 million to Greece in fines. And the funny thing is, misappropriating millions and millions of farming grants, giving them to your own friends, having an entire criminal organization system to have fake listings of animals that don't exist, of agriculture that doesn't exist, so that people can pocket money in a cycle of corruption. It also means that at the end of the day, the fine, the $500 million fine, is something the government needs to pay. So it needs to come from taxpayers' money. And this is one way that it's a common pattern where the people are taking advantage of the public sector. They're making a lot of money. Money goes to private people through contracts, through corruption, through fraud. And then the bill goes to the taxpayer. We also have the case with Predator that was used to spy on the government. The government was spying on itself using illegal software, and the EU caught it. So this is another interesting thing going on. I'll just say EU is not able to do a lot justice system-wise. Very often they just make their points and then they rely on the jurisdiction, on the law of each country to do its thing. But sometimes the law in the country is not really working so well. And it makes me think, if the EU could enforce the law in a different way, if there was a way the EU could put a country to jail, I think that Greece would have spent a few weekends behind bars. I was reading the news, and one of the biggest hotel chains in Greece, called Cobain, it's luxury types of hotels, has done something illegal. They built a hotel near the Acropolis, and they added more floors than they should have. The area around Acropolis is an archaeological site, so it is protected, and you cannot raise the buildings as tall as you like, because they are hiding the view and they are disrupting the architectural landscape. So they built 3 floors on top that have been made illegal. Since 2019, the decision has been made that these floors are illegal. So you would assume that they took them down. They did not. In 2021, there was a court order that ordered that these floors need to be demolished. Now, this is 5 years ago today. The floors are still there. Nothing has been demolished. And I saw now that the state has put a fine on itself for taking too long to enforce the decision. So one part of the state to some other party, organ of the state. And I thought, since 2019, it's illegal. Since 2021, it should have been demolished. That means it's been running for 5 years now. And is it running? So I went on Booking, I looked, And the hotel is there, and it shows all of the floors. And even so, if you go to book, you have the option to book these floors that give you a direct view on the Acropolis. Because this is what the extra 3 floors did. They gave direct view to the Acropolis, and they also hid the view of the Acropolis for everything behind that building. So yes, they are working, they're fully operational, they're being booked all the time. And if you choose to book any of the rooms that have the direct Acropolis view, you're paying a premium. How much you're paying? For a week, you would pay around 3,000 euros for a simple room that looks at the Acropolis. And if you take the suite, it would be around 5,000 euros. So even though this has been an illegal thing since 2019 and a demolition order since 2021, this hotel is still pocketing money all this time, with these floors being fully operational and everything being there for clients to rent. So I did a quick math that throughout all these years, with a very conservative calculation, they have made about 3 million euros, maybe 2 to 3 million euros out of these rooms. And with a more high-end calculation, we're entering the area of 5, 6, 7 million euros. So you can only imagine what happens in the background and why it makes a lot of sense to defy the law and keep being illegal as long as it makes you more money than it will cost you to get yourself out of this. And this is a very common pattern in Greece. Now, in other random thoughts, I'm very sure you can relate to this. Sometimes the ads you're getting are just way too good. Many, many years ago, there was this rumor that your phone can listen to you. It can listen to what you're saying, and then it can show you relevant advertisement, and that the devices in your life can just hear you at secret times and then give that information to the big corporations to then serve you advertisements. But later, it has also been that people almost feel that the advertisement can read your thoughts. And people were asking about this, like, I get it if my phone can target ads by hearing me or seeing me even, but how is it possible that it's showing me ads based on my thoughts? And sadly, the answer to that is very simple. It's not reading your thoughts. It already knows what you're going to think. And here's how this works. We're not unique. There are thousands of people, tens of thousands of people with our exact age, exact location, income bracket, browsing history, purchase patterns, and social graphs. There are at least 10,000 people that have your exact same data as you. When these 10,000 people started searching for running shoes, you hadn't started yet, but there is a very high chance that you will. And the algorithm already has watched this thing happen with people that it has identified as similar or identical to you. So sometimes it shows us the ad before we search. We think that it's reading our mind, but in reality it just knew the next possible chapter in our story because it already read it on someone else. And this whole thing is called predictive behavioral modeling, and it's accurate enough that the Facebook's own researchers once described it as being able to predict a life event before the person experiencing it is aware of it themselves. So it's not a surveillance of our thoughts. It's just a pattern match that is very precise enough that it feels like one. So the short story of the next time you might think that the ads are reading your thoughts, or I'll put myself in, it's just that we underestimate how predictable our behavior can be and how much data we have given away. But maybe sometimes you need someone to know what you're thinking. Maybe you need a God, you need a Messiah. And if you are a white person, we might just be getting one. I know this sounds like a very bad intro, but hear me out. Kurt Cobain had a daughter. Her name is Frances. And Tony Hawk. So, if you didn't know, Kurt Cobain's daughter and Tony Hawk's son, they are having a child together. And the boy will be named, Ronin Walker Cobain Hawk. Now, imagine Kurt Cobain and Tony Hawk are both your grandfathers. You're like the Son Goku of white people. This was something I saw online, and the comments were just ridiculous. But indeed, if you have two grandfathers being Tony Hawk and Kurt Cobain, there's already some pressure. So the comments were going on saying, this is as close as you get to the white man's messiah, Lisan al-Gaib. He's the chosen one to save us from Baron Trump. In another piece of news that has been resurfacing lately, in case you didn't know, now you know, German men must ask army for permission in order to leave the country. There is a requirement for those aged between 17 and 45 to obtain a permit for trips abroad if you are traveling for more than 3 months. And it seems to be, it was a rule that required men during times of crisis to report when they are obtaining. And this seems to be an old rule that existed, that if you are between 17 and 45, you need to obtain a permit for trips abroad for more than 3 months. But now, and it was only used in times of crisis. But now it seems that the new rule is dropping the crisis side, and it makes it there forever. So apparently they changed one clause in this already existing rule, and it has caused uproar because you need to get this permission from the armed forces even during peacetime. And overall, there is a modernized model right now, but if it fails to pull in enough recruits, the parliament will be considering discussing the reintroduction of compulsory service, the defense minister said, as the legislation passed the lower house of the Bundestag in December. So there was a legislation, it came into effect 1st of January, but the legislation was to help the military in general. It demanded all 18-year-old men filling out a questionnaire to see their suitability to serve in the armed forces. Now, in this legislation, they also passed this fine print that went under the radar until a media report called it out, that said that the men aged 17 to 45 would have to apply for authorization to leave Germany for more than 3 months. This clause can potentially affect millions of German citizens embarking on anything from a gap year to study abroad to a new job or a sabbatical. And as I said, this was for times of crisis, but now it is for any time. The spokesperson said that in particular it's not subject to any sanctions, and that the approval for these periods abroad will be routine unless there is a conscription. So a conscription is the event where they call people in. But unlike German men between 17 and 45, we have someone or something that has been further away than any other thing has been. And this is Voyager 1. Voyager 1 is still out there, over 18 billion kilometers away from Earth, quietly drifting through interstellar space. And I just want to give an update. Voyager 1 is a NASA spacecraft that launched in 1977, or now 50 years ago, and its mission was to explore the outer planets. And it's still out there. So its mission was to go past Jupiter and Saturn. And it did that, and it kept going. It finally reached the edge of our solar system, and now it has crossed a strange region that scientists describe as a wall of superheated plasma. It's basically where the sun's solar wind collides with the pressure of the galaxy beyond. So it's almost like this weird place where our sun stops to have its strength and its reach is declining. It's called a heliopause, which literally means the end of the sun in Greek, and it marks the place where the sun's influence ends. There is extreme heat there, but because it's plasma and the particles are too far away, it doesn't feel hot. That energy is not transferred. But it's a place where most of the harmful cosmic radiation gets deflected. It's the last barrier, the last protective shield that our solar system has. So now Voyager 1 will continue beyond this boundary, its silent journey between the stars. Every now and then it sends back some faint signals, but it's truly at the edge of our cosmic neighborhood. Voyager 1 has an amazing story on how it keeps on going, on how many times it has broken down for scientists to manage with extraordinary ingenuity to repair it or reach back to it. So, yes, Voyager 1 for the win. Keep on going, and we wish you all the best. Now, with that, I will end this episode here. If you are in Berlin, you can check out the Tree Blossom Festival happening at the Bridger Baumblüte until April 19th. And if not that, there is the World of Flowers and a few of these big gardens around Berlin that should start to look really nice now that the weather is becoming nicer and warmer. For the rest of you in the rest of the world, we didn't touch much politics today, and maybe that was for the best. I hope you're keeping sane. Do a bit of daily boxed breathing exercises if needed. Get some sunshine on that face, and as little as 30 seconds jumping around is enough exercise to make a small shift in your brain. So how about I finish this episode and you jump around for 30 seconds and then we see each other again next week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I have been me and you have been you. And until next week, ciao!